I've asked Wayne Anderson to give us our prayer and
Our Father in heaven, we're grateful to Thee this evening for the many blessings that we enjoy. We're grateful to be citizens of this wonderful community, and especially at this time of year when the Spirit of our Father in heaven, the Spirit of the birth of our Savior is present amongst us all. We're grateful to Thee for the inspiration and the help and guidance that Thou hast given all of us. And we would ask that Thy blessings be upon the mayor and this city council as they conduct the business of this city, that they will be led and guided and directed, that they will do those things which will be of best value for the citizens of the Spanish Fork City. We also pray for the employees who work for this community. Pray for their protection and pray for their inspiration, that they will be able to do their jobs and function in a positive way. Father in heaven, we're grateful to be citizens of this great land. We're grateful for the freedom that we enjoy and ask that Thou help us all that we might preserve it, protect it, and guard it. Now bless us with Thy Spirit this evening, we humbly pray in the name of Thy Son, Jesus Christ. Amen.
amen. Thank you, Wayne. I've asked Mike Mendenhall to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Please repeat the pledge after me.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Mike. Okay, public comments. Anybody that would like to come and address the mayor and the council can do so.
Mayor, City Councilman, I'm Carrie Hanks, and I'm the current director of the Spanish Fork Chamber of Commerce, and I just wanted to come up and wish you and all the residents in Spanish Fork a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
Well, thank you. Right back at you.
Well, thank you. We appreciate that. I also wanted to announce to the citizens of Spanish Fork my resignation as the director of the Chamber of Commerce, and to let everyone know that we are accepting resumes here at the Chamber office for my position. So anyone that's interested could give us a call or come on down, stop down to our office. And I will say that I'm going to work for Plan Plugged, so we're going to have a great summer and have an even bigger program this summer in Spanish Fork. So I just want to thank everybody and all of you for all the support. Thanks.
Carrie.
Thanks,
You've been
sir.
awesome.
We sure appreciate all you've done with the chamber, and you'll be missed, but you'll be around.
Yep.
Mayor, members of the council, we're here representing the Spanish Fork Fiesta Days Rodeo Committee. As you probably know, we recently returned from a very successful round of meetings with some of the professional rodeo cowboys.
Where we didn't see the light of day for 3 days.
That's right.
And I can attest to that. He wasn't lying.
Not bad. By the way, the mayor looks very good in a western hat.
Got a callus on my forehead, you know.
We were able at these meetings to firm up and sign contracts for stock contractors, for bullfighters, barrelmen, specialty acts, timers, pickup men, secretaries, what else?
That pretty well covers that.
Not just for Fiesta Days Rodeo, but also for the Champions Challenge. Now, it wasn't all hard work. We did take time out to receive an award. And we received the Justin Boots Best Footing Award. This is given by the WPRCA. This is the Women of the Professional Rodeo Cowboys Association. This award is given to the best rodeo of similar size in the wilderness circuit for having the best dirt in the arena. That- That's, yeah, if you watch the first round or so of the National Finals Rodeo, you saw how important the dirt is. The barrel racers had a tough time that first night and wasn't much better on the second night. It did get better as it progressed. But we here in Spanish Fork have been noted for having the best darn dirt for a rodeo of our size. So on behalf of the committee and of the Diamond Fork Riding Club, we would like to present this plaque to the mayor and city council.
Thank you, my friend. Well, just so you know, this is the second year in a row that we've received this, so that's pretty cool.
You know, I had a brother down at the rodeo, and I texted him, I was watching it on TV, and I said, how is it there? And he texted back, great. Spanish Fork getting a lot of love. With the cowboys that were competing there, plus some announcers talking up Spanish Fork a little bit, and on the video screen and the whole bit.
In conjunction with this award, we also got a cash stipend and a certificate for a pair of Justin boots. And as the committee, we've decided that these awards should go to those people that really deserve it, and that's the people that make our dirt the best that it is. The certificate for the Justin boots is given to Heath Atwood. Heath is, he is not able to make it tonight, so accepting in his behalf will be Kevin Parker.
Nice. Make sure you get the good boots.
What size do you wear?
Come up here, please. Now, you all know how much work Landon does out at the fairgrounds. He's always there with a smile whenever we need him. Landon?
Thank you very much, appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yep.
So Landon, what makes our dirt so good?
Oh, a lot of time, a lot of water, I don't know, just a lot of knowledge, I guess. A lot of help from those that come before us, so I thought it was pretty good.
You did real well.
Good. Thanks, Landon.
Thanks, Landon.
Appreciate you,
The other
Landon.
part of the cash award goes to Steve Money. Steve is unable to make it tonight, so
I'll
just
take
make
it.
sure it's safe.
You're gonna, on his
I'm
behalf.
sure the mayor of the council can take care of that for him, and he'll get it someday.
Now, I know that the former mayor has a hard time setting foot in this austere chambers without wanting to say a few words, so. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Guys.
Anyone else that'd like to come up and address the council and the mayor? See none. We'll go into council comments. Councilman Gordon.
Thank you, Mayor. I also had down that I wanted to congratulate our local Cowboys from Spanish Fork that went down and represented us very well. It's fun to see Spanish Fork every night on the television as you watch and enjoy that. So I just congratulate them on their success down there. When Carrie was up here, I didn't get a chance to ask her about the Tabitha's Way event on Friday. Can we talk about that? Or
Send up the boss.
is that already on the agenda?
That's on the agenda.
Okay,
Mike's going to take
it's
care
on
of
there.
that.
Thank you. And then, Carrie, what else can I say other than you will be missed? We love you. I've enjoyed being around you, and I've enjoyed going to neighboring communities where what happens here is very coveted, and that only happens because of, the great efforts that you and the others that surround you have done. So we really will miss you, and I know you know that, how much we love and appreciate you. I hope everyone has a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year, and that everyone has a safe holiday as well. That's all I have, Mayor.
Great. Councilman Davis.
I want to say ditto to what Councilman Gordon said with Carrie. Thank you, Carrie, for all you've done with the chamber. You're second to none. I don't know how we're going to replace you.
I'll have more time to volunteer now, Richard.
Okay. I can use some. I'd like to talk a little bit about Shop with a Cop, but I'd ask Matt if he'd come up and talk to us a little bit about that.
Thank you. On Saturday, December 13th, we held our 23rd annual Shop with a Cop program here in Spanish Fork in conjunction with Kmart. It was another successful year. We had 150 children that we provided Christmas to. And I want to publicly thank Carrie, too, in the chamber. I compiled a letter a couple months ago for her to send out to the chamber members. We were seeking donations. We received a lot of response from the businesses as well as citizens in the community. So it cannot be a successful program without the citizens of Spanish Fork and the businesses here. So it's just a good time of year where we can think of others, and by the turnout that we had on Saturday, it shows that Spanish Fork's a great community, as well as several of the different police agencies within the county that participated. So we just wanted to publicly thank those that participated, the Shop with the Cop committee, as well as Kmart. So we appreciate that.
Thanks, Matt.
Thanks, Matt. And I'm with Councilman Gordon on wishing everybody a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year, and want to thank not only the citizens for all the volunteerism that they produce every year, but I want to also thank our employees that work for us. They are truly our greatest asset for our community, and so I appreciate all that they do and the hard work that they do to continue to keep our city safe and nice and a clean place to live, and the #1 city in the state. Thanks, Mayor.
Councilman Dart?
I'd just like to say thank you to Carrie. One of my first assignments when I got elected to the council was to be on the chamber board, and I want to tell you, it was something to be desired. Carrie came on board a little while later. After that, I became part of the board, and that chamber, you might say, rose from ashes. And let's face it, the chamber would not be what it is today without her organization and work and know-how. So I congratulate you, Carrie, and I hope the person who replaces you can just fill one of your shoes. And I also would like to wish the citizens of Spanish Fork a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year, and I hope next year will be the best year ever. Thank you.
Councilman Scobes?
No new business at this time. Keeping in theme, Carrie, you'll be missed, but excited we still get to see you around town, though. Fantastic job. And then Merry Christmas, Happy New Year to everyone.
Right. Councilman Mendenhall?
Yeah, hard to follow up what's been said about Carrie. Carrie and I have a little bit of history going back with serving in the chamber. Rod is right. One of the first meetings that I attended at the Chamber of Commerce and knew Carrie a little bit was quite shocking what was going on in the chamber in some regards, but with a lot of hard work and a lot of leadership and frankly long hours at the direction of Carrie and key members of the board, the chamber turned around and came out to be quite the organization it is today, which in turn, what does that mean? We're giving a lot of accolades to Carrie, which she so does deserve, but that turns into real, her service and her volunteerism and her time turns into a lot of business being conducted in a better way for people, dollars and jobs and everything else. So Carrie, your impact in our community here has been real and is going to be long-lasting for years to come. I know the personal time you've spent with many businesses on trying to help them in any way they can to market their products and their services truly
is a game changer. And that's your middle name if it is, a game changer that gets in there and gets work done. So thank you for, whatever it's worth. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for everything you've done for me and for the chamber and for this community. You'll truly be missed at that position. The other thing I wanted to bring up real quick, I got the chance to run down to Tabitha's Way, a local chamber member, this last Friday, and meet the Bridges group, the Bridges program down there, to drop off some donated items for her upcoming event, which is turning out to be a great annual event. This program, I don't know if you have the picture there, Seth, or not, or if you can see it in your notes online. There's a picture of some of the kids from the Bridges program that donated 100 crayons and 100 coloring books that Wendy she's going to explain what her event is this Friday, but it is truly a great event that's held in our community. These kids are quite the inspiration in the fact that if you'll notice as you go around town in Carrie's flower shop, you'll see some of these kids that come in and help out on a weekly basis. They help out at Macy's. They help out at our ambulance station or fire station. All over town you'll see a group of kids larger than this that go out and work, and businesses pay them, and they turn around with their profits and give to this community. They give to programs like this. They give to our Easter egg hunt every year, and it's kind of an inspiration, especially at this time of the year, where a lot gets forgotten as far as important things, but the difference that these kids will make in the lives of a lot of kids this Friday, and I think there's a lot of lessons we can learn from these kids right here that we can incorporate into our daily lives as well. So after that embarrassing breakdown, Wendy, if you could come up and let us know of your event happening.
Boy, you guys start with the waterworks and it might not stop. Okay. So, Councilman Mendenhall, I also wanted to just say how humbled I am that those young kids who have so little come in and do so much. It really touched my heart. And I also wanted to, before I forget, also, when I started Tabitha's, I walked into Carrie's office and told her what I planned to do, and she was instrumental, Carrie Hanks was instrumental in just putting Tabitha's into the spotlight and helping generate awareness for what we're trying to do. And I consider Carrie just a wonderful friend, and I just want to tell her thank you for everything she's done. And I'm happy for her and her adventure, but she's just made such a huge impact on our community for people and our citizens and our businesses, and I just want to extend a thank you to her for that. I am so honored. I'm so honored to be a part of this community. People here are so giving and so wonderful, and I get to see it every day. I'm just honored to see the generosity of people here. I'm so thankful for the work you do here and for our police officers and our people who work for our city and our citizens. So I'm super excited about this Friday. We have an open invitation for any senior citizens or veterans who would like to attend, and also for any families in need. We're planning on serving a warm Christmas dinner, turkey and stuffings and all the dressings. We have pie and cookies, and For every child that will come, we will have a toy. We have over 450 toy kits that have been prepared, which those coloring books have attributed to those kits. And so each kit will have a brand new blanket, a warm hat, pair of gloves, a coloring book, crayons, and a stuffed animal, and a brand new toy. So we're really excited about this event, and just excited mostly about the spirit of what it brings. Like I said, my heart has just been touched by the generosity of people in this community, businesses and citizens, and the fact that the council has gotten behind this, and Bridges, and helped us with this. And I can't describe it any other way but than to say I'm just honored, and I am amazed and blessed to see this event and to live this actually every day. So thank you, and I wanted to say Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year, and of course, God bless you. So thank you.
Thanks,
Wendy, hey, Wendy, get back up here. Hey, I want to thank you. You're awesome. I remember when you started Tabitha's Way, and that little store behind on Second North, and wasn't very big, and you started with hardly anything, and now you have made something that is truly an asset to the community of Spanish Fork, and thank you for what you've done.
Oh, wait.
Oh.
While you're up here, one quick question. It's been the Daily Herald, and it's been in the news and stuff. I think to kind of celebrate a gem that we have in our community, would you feel comfortable sharing the results of the Walmart vote and how that turned out?
Yes. I actually received confirmation last night. I received an email from the Walmart Foundation. Tabitha's Way was selected as one of 150 finalists across the United States that would share in a pool of $1.5 million for food pantries. 75 of those 150 finalists would win, and Tabitha's actually was in the top 25. Thank you very much for everyone who voted and put up with all my Facebook posts. So yes, I'm excited that we got that news yesterday, and so it's official, and we won $20,000 to help with our cause. So thank you very, very, very much. Once again, extremely blessed by everybody in this community, so I can't thank you guys enough. So.
Great job. Thanks, Wendy.
Oh,
All right,
Wendy.
Oh, great. Well, I'd just like to say, Carrie, once again, everything that everybody said, I double it. And we really appreciate all you've done for the city. You know, I don't think people know, and those that do know exactly what you've done. And we appreciate you. And look forward to working on the next venture of your life. So, I had the opportunity to go down, you saw these cowboys that were up here, the rodeo committee. I was able to be a part of that and went with them last week, or last time we had our city council. I was gone, and Rod did a great job, and thanks. But, you know, it's pretty interesting. That's the first time I've ever been down there and seen what those guys do, and the meetings that they attend, and the things they do to make our rodeo the best around. And I just wanted to shout out, we've got an individual that works for us that's part of that, in Steve Money. And I'll tell you what, if you think everybody here knows Steve Money when it's rodeo, everyone down there in NFR and the pro rodeo circuit, they all know what's going on down there, because whenever we were walking to a meeting, we'd probably walk about 5 feet and someone would stop him and start talking to him, and we'd walk another 5 feet and another person would stop and talk to him. And And he's well-known down there and well-respected. And when they were talking about, Richard asked Leonard about the dirt, Steve was watching it, and he saw that the problem was they didn't have enough moisture in the dirt there at the NFR. And he texted the person in charge, and they corrected it. And thanks, Steve. Because so here's a guy that was sitting up in the nosebleed of that arena and could tell what was wrong with their dirt. And so that's the type of individual we have working. I mentioned that in our Champions Challenge, they asked Steve to sit on that Champion Challenge board. So I thought that was great kudos for Spanish Fork, just to show you the caliber of people we have and the type of rodeos that we can put on. Okay, let's move to Spanish Fork 101, Youth Court. And you don't look like Steve Adams.
I don't.
Lucky for him.
He unfortunately had to leave for a family emergency. But the Spanish Fork City Youth Court was implemented in October of 2009 by Chief Adams. He was the administrative lieutenant at that time. He realized that Spanish Fork City needed a diversion program where first-time youth offenders could appear before a youth court panel where they could explain why they made the choices they made, why they committed a violation of the law that they committed, and then that panel is able to correct the youth by implementing some sort of corrective action. And since the since the inception date of the court, we've had 126 individuals appear before the court. We usually hold court once a month on the first Wednesday of the month, and the youth offenders who do not have a criminal past are able to attend. They sign an agreement with their parent stating that they will abide by the stipulations that the court imposes. And some of those rehabilitative measures consist of community service hours. One thing that we've implemented in the past is that we've asked them to volunteer at Tabitha's Way. And has that been successful, or?
It's actually awesome.
Okay, so we can continue to do that?
Yeah.
Okay. And these juveniles that appear, they get a sense of contributing back to their community, and we think that's beneficial to them, that they get to see that they can repay the community for maybe something that they've done in the past as far as a criminal violation. Spanish Fork City Youth Court is one of 23 youth courts that's certified by the Youth Court Advisory Board. The youth court has to be recertified every 3 years. And a lot of the referrals that we receive through the youth court are for theft, curfew, criminal mischief, tobacco, and other small misdemeanor violations. There's a $20 youth court fee that the participant has to pay when they attend the court. And then if they refuse to abide by the stipulations that the youth court panel imposes on them, they are referred to the 4th District Juvenile Court. The youth court panel is comprised of 6 members. As of yesterday, I had a promise from 5 of the 6 that they would be here, and I don't see any of them here tonight, so.
Better send them to the youth court.
I'm not sure what I'm going to do to them. But these youth court members, they're outstanding individuals and students. They're civic-minded, goal-minded individuals. They're an example to others throughout the community and the school. And they possess a desire to serve others, and it's an example that they show to other youth throughout the community by their involvement in the youth peer court. The members attend Spanish Fork High School, Maple Mountain High, and the American Leadership Academy. And I was hoping to introduce those members to you tonight, but that's not going to happen. But it's a very successful program. We realize that people make poor choices once in a while, and at a young age, it's very beneficial for them to have this diversion program where they will not have a juvenile record if they abide by the peer court. Is there any questions you have about the youth peer court?
Yeah, I do, Matt. So was there a period of time when we didn't have the youth court? 'Cause
There was. Ann Banks was kind of over that, and then when she passed away, there wasn't a peer court, but I'm not sure what the years were that we didn't have one. And then Chief Adams saw that it was very beneficial, and wanted to bring that back to the community.
It may surprise you that I attended a youth court as a young man. Does that surprise any of you? We won't talk about the violation.
It was, if you could go back.
Well,
But,
Richard and I would have attended one, but they didn't have it back then.
Mayor Huff at the time, she took me on a Saturday and we did community service. She took me around town. I spent 4 hours. The two accomplices that were with me, they got the short end of the deal. They had to write reports.
And that's another disposition, that they write reports on what they've learned and apology letters to their parents or the victim of the crime. And the most important thing is that they learn from their behavior, and I hope you did that as well.
Well, look at me.
That's true.
It obviously is such
Junior,
a successful program.
Did anybody check his form when he ran for city council, if that was disclosed?
I was expunged of
We might
all
need to check
charges.
that.
Do they poop or scoop still?
Yes.
So poop
Yes,
and
they can
scooping
still work
is
at the fairgrounds.
fairgrounds.
Help elderly members of their community.
Imagine if you would have had that when these three middle guys would have came through.
No, all we got was a kick in the butt.
That's true.
So,
All right, well,
Thanks
thank
for doing
you.
that, Matt.
thank you.
Thanks, Matt. Judge Gleason.
Yeah. All right, consent items. Thanks.
Our consent calendar tonight, besides the minutes, we have a franchise agreement with an Idaho telecommunications company called Syringa. The Federal Telecommunications Act requires that we open our rights of way to all who desire to use it via franchise. So this is in standard form. It's actually a little bit simpler than some of the others we have. It does establish the same terms. Their fee is 3.5% of their gross revenues as they collect and eat. One thing that is different about this one than the others is this does require all of their facilities to go underground, whereas some of the other ones go both underground and overhead. The professional services agreements are the standard agreements that we use. We've got two, Lamar Mabey and Associates and LEI. Mr. Mabey's been retained to help us with the cut bridge widening, so that you're aware, LEI does a lot of general services for us. The impact fee reimbursement agreement with Ivory Homes is for a storm drain, a couple of lines, and a detention basin they put in. It's $348,504.57. I'll be reimbursed from impact fees. This also is in standard form. Thank you.
Motion to approve the consent items?
Second.
Got a motion by Councilman Gordon, a second by Councilman Mendenhall. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. Okay, public hearing concerning ordinance 20-14, vacating an easement across property belonging to EPCO.
EPCO is the old powder plant up on the mountain to the east of us. You can see on the exhibit that's been put up, that little yellow triangular shaped piece. We have a water line easement across there. Years ago, that property was in the city limits. It no longer is. We've done a boundary adjustment with Mapleton because of the highway and the railroad and for the providing of services. We don't use that. We don't have a pipeline through there. We do have a water pipeline that comes down Highway 6, but it's not within the shaded area there. So as they've been doing some development up in that area, they've discovered that easement, asked that we vacate it. We can see no reason that we would need it, and so we do propose that we vacate that easement. Because it is vacated, an easement does require cover.
I'd entertain a motion to go into public hearing.
So moved.
Second.
Got a motion by Councilman Davis, a second by Councilman Dart. We're now in public hearing. Is there anyone in the audience who would like to come and address this issue? Oh, you didn't vote? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right, now is there anybody that would like to come and talk about this? If not, I would entertain a motion to go out of public hearing. Got a motion by Councilman Gordon, a second by Councilman Scobes. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any discussion? If not, if not, we'll do this, I'd entertain a motion to approve this.
Move we approve ordinance 20-14, vacating an easement across property belonging to that.
Second.
Got a motion by Councilman Dart, a second by Councilman Scove. We'll do this roll call vote. Councilman Dart?
Aye.
Councilman Davis?
Aye.
Councilman Gordon?
Aye.
Councilman Mendenhall?
Aye.
Councilman Scobes?
Aye.
Passes. Stillman zone change.
It was just last month that the council approved the Stillman annexation. If not, it was shortly, even before that, I guess. But within the last couple of months, you've approved the annexation of an area that's immediately east of the Maple Mountain High School. And when the properties were annexed, that is, you zoned them rural residential. And we did that at the time with the understanding that likely this would be coming before you pretty soon. And we're here tonight with a request to change the zoning of a portion of the properties that were part of that Stillman annexation. They're the properties that are outlined in red here on this image. You can see here Maple Mountain High School to the west. This is 2550 east. That's 400 north. And then a few different parcels that are kind of configured in a group here of 37 acres and a group here of 20 acres. And we'll talk more about those a little bit later tonight relative to some specific development proposals that you're asked to consider tonight by way of preliminary plats for those. The specific request involves changing the zoning of all of the area that is outlined in red there from, like I said, rural residential to R112. The general plan has designated this area for low-density residential development. The R112 zone is consistent with that. In fact, most of the development that's occurred in this part of the city has happened in developments that are zoned R112. But for me, really, aside even from kind of what surrounds these properties in terms of zoning and what the general plan says, another really significant factor relative to why it's easy for me to support the zone change at this time is the fact that after several years of work, we're now working with a couple of developers that we think can and will get utilities to the subject properties. And I think that's something that we always need to consider at the time of changing zoning, and that for me is a big deal. So for me, based really on those three things, that the R112 zone is consistent with what has been approved in the area already, it's consistent with the general plan, and the fact that we believe that we have the utility issues addressed to be able to serve development that can happen in the R112 zone on these properties. I personally think it's probably time that the zoning be changed. The Development Review Committee has recommended that the zone change be approved, as has the Planning Commission. And like I said, we'll talk about some preliminary plats, which we can do now, if you'd like, before the public hearing or later. A lot of times we talk about the preliminary plats in close connection with the zoning, so maybe if you'd like, I can just take another minute or two and talk about those projects. And I don't mean to jump ahead, but there are two distinct projects with two different preliminary plats. The one that we can see here now will be called Canyon Vista Estates. It's located, as I think I mentioned, on about 20 acres. There are 55 units in that development. That's 55 single-family homes. The property would be developed as a standard subdivision. I'm sorry, that's not right. Would be developed as a master plan development, meaning that all of the lots within the development are limited in terms of a density that they can have in the project, no more than 2.69 units per acre. I think they're right at about 2.6, so close to the maximum, but they haven't exceeded it here in the Canyon Vista Estates development. We've talked relative to some off-site improvements that we think are important to have made with the development of this property. One has to do with improving some street frontage and constructing a sidewalk over to this intersection. If that were done, along with the improvements that the developer will make of the frontage here of, I think this is 100 South, then, for example, kids walking to the elementary school, that's not very far off of this image to the west, would have a sidewalk to walk on all the way from their homes to school. We think that's something that's important, and the developer seems comfortable agreeing to make those off-site improvements over to the intersection. We've also talked quite a bit about making a connection basically at 130 North here between 2550 East and this development. And I'll talk about that again a little bit in connection with the other project. Yeah.
What's happening with this right here?
Yeah, great question. Simply put, this property is not part of the proposal because the property owner hasn't consented to have a developer, hasn't consented to sell it or anything of that nature. At least for the time being, it would remain vacant. I know that multiple developers over the years have reached out and have tried to strike a deal, so to speak, with them. Obviously, if this property were included as part of that development, it'd be a pretty functional time to have it developed, but it's owned by a different party. So at least for the time being, it would remain vacant. Frankly, I think that could change very quickly, but tonight that's where I think things are. Now, with that said, that property potentially is impacted, however, because we feel pretty strongly that this connection needs to be made relatively early.
This one down here too, did you say?
Exactly, yeah. And maybe it's best if I just speak for myself for a minute. From my perspective, having this connection made has much more to do with needs that are created by the development of this property than this. If this route existed, for example, from what we'll talk about in just a minute, this is Maple Mountain Estates, then I think that dramatically reduces the traffic impact that would occur here at the 4th North 2550 East intersection, which is something of a problem for us. If these vehicles could get basically just westward, either to the high school, to neighborhoods to the west, into town, anything like that, using this route instead of going up onto a state highway with a very high travel speed, then making another left-hand turn to go south on that road. Those are the types of conflicts that we really want to try to avoid. From a traffic perspective, it's my understanding that the two developers working in concert, they're agreeable to the idea of constructing that. The Development Review Committee talked about requiring that connection to be made. There's kind of a difference of opinion on what the recommendation was, but either when there are 50 units constructed in both of the developments together, or when either 50 units are constructed in the Canyon Vista Estates development or the Maple Mountain Estates development. So those are two different triggers by way of timing, just in terms of when they get to a certain number of units, the connection has to be made. We feel strongly that connection does need to be made, though, like I said, I think primarily to help eliminate any additional traffic impact at that intersection at 4th North and 2550 East. Be right here. Yeah.
And I suppose they've got states okay with it?
It is, and actually, that would be located a little bit further to the west. This is the image that you have in your staff report for both of these developments is the most current. There have been some tweaks made since this was prepared. But yes, where it's located, it's far enough from both this intersection and the railroad tracks to meet UDOT's requirements, and they're fine with that. We've talked about a number of other things relative to these two developments. Obviously, we have a rail line right here. The developers agreed to construct a masonry wall. They're basically on the backyards up against that rail line. That's not going to do a lot to eliminate sound and, those kind of impacts that you get on the neighboring homes, but at least with the wall there and the wall that would be constructed on 400 North, somebody would really have to work to get from the neighborhood over to the railroad tracks. That's something that we're particularly concerned about now. The city owns a piece of land right here adjacent to the Canyon Vista Estates development that was donated to the city several years ago by the Christensen family. We think that at some point in time that might be part of a park, or at least a trail system. And as such, the developers agreed to do a certain type of fencing there along those backyards.
That's where the power line.
Dave, yeah, talk about the power lines.
And that's exactly it. That's where the big power line runs. You can
Those
see,
will go in ground?
I think, a pole here and a pole there. Did I hear underground?
Is that what you're gonna do for
I
it?
think that's fairly unlikely. It's Rocky Mountain Power that owns that power line. They just have an easement here on the property that the city now owns. But back kind of to the question you asked a minute ago, Rocky Mountain Power owns this parcel here. Scott Hansen owns this parcel here, and simply they're not part of the development. That's why you also see the gap there between 2550 East and the project there, just a little bit further to the east.
Do you have a drawing, Dave, that shows the real one,
The most current?
the final plans?
If you go to the staff report, those are. So these images aren't as good visually, but so this is the project that's on the northeast corner of the zone change, Maple Mountain Estates. So for example, you can see that road would be located a little bit differently than how it's shown on the previous image. Again, railroad track there. There've been a couple of other fairly minor tweaks to the plat, but as designed, again, they're within that density parameter that we have, which basically means they're all in the 11 and 12,000 square foot range in terms of lot size. All single-family detached homes. One thing that we've talked about with most of you recently relative to LID and the street design as proposed, these would use the, I guess I'll just say the new storm drain, kind of a program that we have, and that accompanying street cross-section. Both of these two developments would. In terms of the preliminary plats, both the Development Review Committee and the Planning Commission have reviewed them and have recommended that they be approved. You have minutes from their meetings there in the staff report as well.
Is this road connection right here an easement, Dave, or is that property owned by both the developers?
It goes down to the canyon.
We own this little bit right here, but, and maybe I'll just end with this. Again, we've been very concerned about the 2550 East 400 North intersection. There are things that I believe our staff's working on to try to get to a point to where that gets better, hopefully soon. But at the same time, we really like the idea of being able to have another route for people so that doesn't get used. And from that perspective, we think this is an important connection. That might mean that through this property here, we'd come back to you if these developments get to a point to where that's required and this property isn't then part of a development. Yeah, we might need to talk about the city helping acquire, at least right-of-way so that road could be constructed. We'd look to the developers to fund that project, but of course we have the ability to obtain land for something like this that a private developer wouldn't have. So we might come back at some point in time to talk about that prospect.
So this road now will swing in and meet in with this other one across the road, right?
Yeah, in short, there'd be a four-way intersection there at 130 North.
Yeah, that's
Which-
a lot different.
Well, which would help because you also have the elementary school down past Maple Mountain. So let's get them off that. Yep.
Trail, running trail, walking trail. Mine's not
Rolling
loaded.
trail in your case.
Whatever, trotting trail. Fort North? Arrive was, mine's not loading my plans, so Arrive has some on Fort North that's, will eventually tie in, is that correct? And is there any other running trail, or is that?
You know, the real idea is that quite probably someday that will serve as a trail corridor.
Okay.
That might be decades into the future. I wouldn't be surprised if it takes a really long time for that to come about. And I'm trying to remember, I don't know if we have it loaded to where we can pull up the trails plan, but I think along 2550 East as well. Which, again, that's not part of this project, but just in the vicinity, north-south, would be 2550 East. I don't necessarily believe that our trails plan takes a trail on Fourth North all the way to the railroad tracks. I can't recall off the top of my head where that terminates. I mean, obviously, to the 2550 East intersection, there will be a trail. Away in the cross-section, these are planning on building, you know, Dean? I can just look at the plans real fast.
I don't, wherever the,
Yeah, there we go.
the city cross-section is planning there.
I think we
So as
talked
far as
about,
that goes, it doesn't go from 2550 to the tracks, according to that.
Chris, what is that cross-section?
The new proposed trails, master plan will,
All along 400 North. Okay.
And that fits in that cross-section.
So I guess to connect into something that hopefully Mapleton would do coming from the east.
So Canyon Vista is not responsible for what is we're talking about on the east, and you're saying decades possibly.
We would expect that frontage to be developed when this property develops, if you're talking about 2550 East.
Okay.
Is that your question? Sorry.
Yeah, perfectly.
Well, we have on that, on First South, that road there, it's on the other side, right? It's, the trail's not next to the high school, there's a sidewalk, and then
That's right.
the trail's on the other side of the road by the townhomes and the church.
In terms of a master plan agreement, does that require difference in bonding or anything like that, as we've had some issues just to the west about bonding for parks and things of that nature? Is there anything similar in these two ideas?
You know, there's really not much give and take or quid pro quo involved in our program now and these developments. So there's really not much to memorialize with an agreement. We hadn't talked about doing any kind of an agreement even. It's just a matter of if they follow this plan, then they're allowed to get building permits and continue with the project. It's that simple. And obviously, we've spelled out some conditions of approval that you have in the staff report that we want you to consider, but beyond that, I think basically what you see here is what we'd anticipate having the developers build. That'd be it. So there's a public hearing with the zone change, not necessarily the preliminary plat, sorry, maybe to jumble them together, but they're obviously tied together.
okay, I'd entertain a motion to go into public hearing.
Second.
Got a motion by Councilman Dart, a second by Councilman Mendenhall. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
We're now in public hearing. Anybody that would like to come and discuss the zone change, you're welcome to come up. Oh, I saw that hesitation.
I was hesitating, I was like, do I really want to go up? But just to introduce myself, my name's Dean Ingram. I'm with Arrive Homes. We're the ones that have proposed this, but just to introduce myself, and you have any questions, I'm here to answer them. The only thing that, one of the things I thought was a good thought when we were going through some of the meetings with the DRC and Planning Commission is, it's an area that it's trying to improve some areas that have been a little bit of an issue. Well, with that, they were talking about Mapleton keeps building more and more that's not helping that issue out, where we can start constructing roads, but also development this is the first one, we bring all the utilities, and it should open the whole area up that would solve all those issues that you've been having. You know, those type of things get fixed through city typically with development, developer-driven, and we think this opens it up for that to solve some of those issues you may have had in the past.
Right.
If you have any questions on it.
So Dean, I got a question here. Have you talked to the owner about putting a sidewalk here? To connect that over for
Not-
safety reasons or anything like that?
So that's what we'll be required to do. And yes, we have not talked to the owner yet because there's another party that's been in negotiation, not me, and I wanted to respect, I know the person, I wanted to respect not letting them try to get through their thing first, and then that's why they said it may come in, another plat may come in pretty quickly there, especially with us bringing the utilities to make it available. So I haven't done that yet, but we do know that would be required for final plat is for us to have those
That'd be
issues
one of the
solved.
conditions.
Yeah. My issue is we're annexed, and with that annexation, there's a large bill for Strawberry Electric. Unless I have a zone, and it's really hard to continue on with the annexation without having something that's of value, not to write a check into the wind. So,
So Dave, I know there's an irrigation ditch right here that irrigates that. So how would that work with the sidewalk and the irrigation ditch?
There's a ditch
Right here.
Yeah, it gets piped or realigned somehow. It would not be a cheap undertaking.
That's on behind you.
Jonathan Reed on that. Atlas Engineering is working with East Bench Canal on that and taking care of those issues. So,
Any other public comments? If not, I'd entertain a motion to go out of public hearing. A motion by Councilman Scobes, second by Councilman Dart. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right. Any questions, discussions?
Dave, I have a question for you. And it's been mentioned a little bit, but how, and this is just a crystal ball type of thing, so I'm not trying to pin you down, but you said that perhaps forthcoming soon may be another plat or something for the land just to the west. Is that looking promising or not? The concern I have is that we have two developments there that will only have one access in or out for a period of time, and the only way to do that would be unless an agreement or something's arranged with the landowner is eminent domain, which there are times where it's appropriate and times where it is very challenging to do. And so that's my concern is it looking good? I don't want to kind of landlock this, but at the same time don't want to halt progress either.
Honestly, I have no idea. I know that, is what I know. I know that property owner's been contacted by several people that have been interested in developing it over recent years, and nothing's happened yet.
Well, maybe to help address that, Kier, is this isn't all going to develop all at once. And so it's going to take some time. So by the time a lot of this is start to be developed, something could be worked out, on this other area.
So which one's going first?
They're two developer, aren't they?
I know, but
They're both here, we can ask them.
I mean, one's going to be doing up and one's going to be down. They'll have an access going on 4th North. These will have one coming down here to start with.
Dave,
One July, who's the other one?
wasn't
just Jonathan Reed.
wasn't a condition of the
Okay.
bond one that they had to do that with the first. Let them know.
Well,
Let
that was
them know.
with the first plat, though.
Huh?
We didn't make that.
Keep developing it, there's a good chance we may be doing it. There's no guarantee of that. We don't have
Okay.
as far as that goes.
I understand
We know
that.
we're working together with cross easements. To answer your question also, that when we get to whatever that amount is, there would be
Well, how are
two,
you gonna get to the subdivision?
we'd have, two exits, egresses, egresses. We're trying to, obviously, get the third, and that's one thing that
Either
the
way,
staff
before
really
that plat
is
gets
encouraging
done,
and making that one a
they
little more of a
might
priority.
have to exercise
For
that
my
right.
second easement, at a point in time when you were talking about there's so many lots, then we have to have that
Go forward.
We think we've got enough time. I don't think we're gonna have an issue. I wouldn't go forward with it. It's a lot of utilities to bring out to do it all, so
Oh, yeah, you got
I'm pretty motivated to.
you got some expense there.
So Dave, are you done, Kier? Again, we have a problem on 4th North and 2550 East. With these new developments, that just puts more pressure on and everything else. Is there something that's coming up in the future that will help ease that, make it safer for cars and pedestrians and everybody else that's walking to school or driving to school or even going home? Tell me.
Chris wants to say something.
Answer is yes, I know that. Yes.
Be here all night now.
It is, and you're right. We are right now designing how to get those electrical boxes that are constricting that right-of-way moved. And it's definitely a lot less money than it would have taken to realign the road, and not enough money to really cause too much problem.
Chris, why don't you explain the different plan now, because I think they might be thinking of the jog.
Okay, yeah. So we have planned for quite some time to take this road and realign through here. We got into some discussion about this property owner likely only making that option available with condemnation. So because of that, we decided to look at this intersection right here.
It's okay, they still get to you eventually.
And we hired a consultant to go and look at this with UDOT and say, how far would we have to move this way in order to avoid these power poles and get a signal in here? And they went and met with UDOT, and UDOT's response was you wouldn't have to move it at all. They could fit signals underneath these power lines just fine. And so that took away all the impetus for us to realign the road. And so with that, our new plan is to just take this road north and south where it is now. And now the problem is we have these electrical boxes here that if we can move them out of the way and clean up our right-of-way like we did south of the school, we can make this a very viable road for
Straight or
straight.
Straight.
It'll be straight.
Spanish Fork Parkway?
Yeah, well, at one point we were thinking we might, have to veer off a little bit to avoid these electrical lines with a signal, but UDOT has told us that they can get a signal.
Line up with our future plans with the legacy piece. And
Yep, we're working with them to get,
Legacy will have to be redesigned because it was designed further to the east. So that part of Legacy will have to come west also.
so this will just go straight up here and then tie in like that. So, anyway, moving the electrical boxes, as soon as we get a good design and a cost, it's our intention to bring that to you in January and get going on that as soon as possible and clear that up before any of this development occurs.
Perfect. Thanks, Chris.
Dean, this is more of a plat question, but the LID revisions, new guidelines and stuff, feel pretty good about those in this development?
I was a little nervous at first, being one of the first to put it in, and we made some changes as we went, but I like it, actually. We made a change, my concern originally, and Chris had it was kind of one of your guys' concerns.
New business, Nebo Cornet Canyon subdivision, rebuild, change order 3.
We affectionately call this project the Money Pit. And the interesting thing about it is these are not change orders that are mistakes that were missed in design. But this is another interesting one. We replaced the water lines with a change order, and as we replaced every lateral into the meters, we crossed over all these electric lines. And what we learned is that these electric lines, when they're installed, were installed in clay tile conduit, which I didn't even know existed. I knew there was clay tile pipe, but I didn't know we had clay tile conduit. And so as we dug underneath this clay tile conduit, it just fell apart. It's not, it's just there, it's a hole in the ground. It really is all it is that this wire is in. And so the electric department spent a lot of time evaluating this because they have not had outage problems in this area that I know about. Have you had very many power outages? No, I get kind of shocked when I walk across it.
But that's just recently since we dug under.
There you go.
At any rate.
A lot of night crawlers coming out now.
Frizzes his hair a little bit.
Yeah, at least this little frizz up here.
There are a lot more night crawlers at night coming up here. But the electric department really looked hard at this area and decided that if we didn't replace all these electrical lines now, we would be coming soon and doing that. And that would be very painful since we are rebuilding all these roads. And so at any rate, we are proposing with this change order that we would be able to replace all the electric lines. So all city utilities will be brand new in this subdivision when we're done.
There you go.
So we got talking about that. In fact, it was as I was typing the memo to you and saying all utilities, then I realized, well, there's still gas and there's Comcast and there's CenturyLink. And so I had to add the word city utilities. And so Lua is getting with CenturyLink, Comcast, and Questar and just telling them they need to replace anything now, because wouldn't it be awful if we spent all this time avoiding digging up the roads and then they had to dig up the road. So I think we would I think we're hopeful that if they have anything that's going to deteriorate in the next 10, 15, 20 years, that they replace it as well at this time. So at any rate, it did allow us to do a little bit more LID, so I was going to explain that too. So if you'll notice, before we were just going to put one of these R tanks in, but the primary power has to go 4 feet deep. And so rather than backfill these power trenches with dirt, we just are throwing in another R tank. And so we'll have a lot more LID in this development. Yes, it's just money. So these are the electric lines that we.
So we're gonna raise all their rates on that Sutton Street.
Well, they're a brand new subdivision.
Yeah, no kidding.
They're gonna go down, I think.
Thank you. Any other questions, comments, editorials? If not, I'd entertain a motion.
I move that we approve the Nebo Flannett Canyon subdivision rebuild change order 3.
Second.
Got a motion by Councilman Scobes, a second by Councilman Mendenhall. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. Maple Mountain Estates preliminary plat.
I'd be happy to go back through what we talked about a little bit earlier tonight, or not. I don't know if you
Like
guys
the or
have any
not.
questions that have come up. in the last 20 minutes?
I'm more concerned on the Canyon Vista Estate preliminary plat, and I am on that one.
Well, it's coming next. So, any on the Maple Mountain?
I forgot, okay, well, we can talk about a little bit about that. On any type of a safety issue to get sidewalks or anything over there before, you know, something, I mean, some type of talking with the landowners or something to get sidewalks or something over there to carry people from here to here. Is there something in the development there?
The way that basically we've talked about it, the developer could start the development and use this access as the only access to the development until they get to either 50 homes, or we talked about maybe 25 homes for the development, some threshold like that. But what we've talked about so far, again, is allowing them to use that as the one access, at least initially, for the development.
What do I have here to get kids over here safely walking?
There's nothing.
So there's just so how,
They don't have anywhere to go with it.
I have a problem with,
There's nothing for private ways.
so kids are gonna just walk out on this road and walk down along here, right now to go to school.
Conceivably, yeah.
Same way with the next one, with this Canyon Creek, the same way down below here.
Here or here, yeah, I mean, those would be the two solutions, but right now, 100
To have
south,
kids walk out onto this road here, or to walk out on 4th North to get over and then come down to school without some type of a safety issue's a concern to me.
Go down this road a little bit here. Go past the high school, keep going.
Sierra Bonita.
We got the same issue right
I
there.
know. We got them in a couple of places in
Yep.
town.
So, okay, and that's a ditch there also.
What size of a road is this?
well, and maybe, I had never considered this relative to getting kids to the elementary school. But Dr. Johnston pointed out that there's a new elementary school under construction in Mapleton, and that kids from this area, because of the enrollment level at Sierra Bonita, they're probably going to elementary school in Mapleton. So I think probably we're just talking about kids walking to high school, to, the Maple Mountain High School there.
And this is finished through here now, so you do have, it takes out that.
Yeah, we got this road
This is
through right here,
finished.
don't you?
But I think what Richard's getting at, and,
It's right up here.
to throw out, like you did, eminent domain, just to go get this, I would not support, and I can't speak for you guys, but I would, and I know that it's all contingent on what's been said this evening, but, we're hoping that gets done, so that road gets through right
Right.
there to then solve the issue that we're talking about. But I can't say that I would support
This-
an eminent domain situation.
Mayor, I see that we got that problem down here, but this is,
Just go on record.
this is a lot busier road than that one is there. And
Before
I
Richard started
really,
talking in the middle of.
I know, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
He's like that all the time.
I'm sorry.
I think we were both
Okay.
saying the same thing.
Anyway, I just have, that's just a big major road that's got a lot of traffic on it right now, and a lot more with these two subdivisions going on, and not to have some type of a safety issue for people to walk on is a concern for me.
And we've known that's a concern, and that's why, sort of we've tried to structure our thoughts by way of the conditions to encourage this to happen soon. One thing that I've mentioned to the Planning Commission enough that I think they're getting tired of hearing it is that cities generally don't build roads. Therefore, a lot of times we're not building sidewalks, we're not making off-site improvements. And when areas like this develop, where you're going from agricultural uses, fields that were cultivated and things like that, and where we kind of develop oftentimes in sort of a leapfrog fashion, just whenever, like we're seeing here, you know, one property owner is ready to sell, another isn't. You have gaps, you have those deficiencies as part of the system. Things I think oftentimes end up getting worse before they get better, but the solution, by way of getting streets built, sidewalks installed, the mechanism is development. So we could talk about chickens and eggs and getting maybe horses before carts and that kind of stuff, and I don't know that I have a perfect answer, but regardless of whether these developments are approved, we know because of what's happening here and in Legacy Farms and other places, traffic here is going to increase. Obviously, this would add to that, and that's what we're talking about trying to minimize. But without development occurring here, the problems that we have there, for the most part, are going to remain the same. We'll still have kids walking here in front of homes that don't have, you know, sidewalk and curb in front of them and things like that. Again, I don't necessarily have an answer as to exactly how and when things will come about, but without development, typically, things just stay the status quo.
Dean, what do you think? Yeah? No, you can come and talk.
If Richard invites you, you can come.
First, I just want to be on the record that everybody left when Chris was up here, not when I was up here. It happens. They all watch. So, I guess the way as a developer, I would look at it, we have strong motivation because there's going to be typically you can do 50 lots on a single access. That's going to be shrunk down to whatever that number is. We're motivated to get that connection through as soon as possible because that's what's going to allow us to continue to go through our phases. The issue, like Dave was saying, is nothing happens unless development happens. The problem you guys are, in my opinion, are going to have a lot with this too. We can talk about, but Legacy's what, 1,000? I don't know how many units are. Whatever that number is, that still isn't solving all that coming this way, but development does. So with us bringing power and sewer, that's why this person even has a shot at all at developing, and that's why that probably will, why I feel confident that it's been under contract before, numbers have never worked. We've made the numbers work by compiling what we have, because at one time, a few
You're right there if you want to use it.
yeah. At one time, a few years back,
Just push the line on top.
oh, there it is. This was combined with this, but then the development all fell apart. It was too expensive. The crash happened. It wasn't economical, but it already bought this one, but this one that did not close on. So pretty confident these people want to sell. I think that the design we've created a design for them and stuff. I don't think we're going to have any real issues with it. It's just timing. We've got to it's a big cost to bring sewer, which causes us to start at this end and then get over here. But it's really hard to front load so much. We do know we need to do that connection. We're willing to go to the work to help solve that problem. But it's development that's going to solve it for not just us right here, but the problem that's already there that Legacy and others have beyond that are really no restrictions on adding more units because they already have their, I don't think you can go back and say, well, come do a bunch of other offsites. We're willing to take that offsite on, but we just would like you to have faith, I guess, in us, that not that you have faith in developers. I mean, we all know what they're like, right? But that's something we're going to accomplish. It's just a timing thing for us. But typically you do 50 lots, like I said. We talked with Dave about switching that around. That pushes that to push it a little sooner than that. But we've got a lot to do here. Concrete walls for railroad tracks and different things there's a lot of cost with this. But I do think it's gonna, I know that this parcel that's down, I got approached, I think there's an LOI from a national builder that connects in right here for this parcel. I don't know if they'll be able to we're gonna help their numbers, obviously, about what we're doing, but there's a good chance that might happen, which is this right here. I think this, doesn't something come in below here? We've been discussing, I think it's under contract, some stuff below here. But it's all contingent on bringing those utilities over that we're working on. So I think it's all gonna be.
I appreciate all that, but like I said, I've just got a safety problem here. And all it takes is one person getting hurt.
Sure.
So I wish there was a solution to at least, even if it was right here, but, like Councilman Brandon said, we don't want to do no eminent domains on anybody. But I think it sure help if you talk to these landowners or something like that on trying to do some type of an easement across that sidewalk, some type of a sidewalk right now.
And we're doing, I mean, we have to do that because we can only do so many anyways.
We do that with schools to go through their areas to bring in the kids into the schools in a different way so that they don't have to go the long way or go through some places like that. Anyway.
I wish some of that would have been solved with the other developments. I mean, we all wish that.
My educational experience has been that the school doesn't have to do anything when they come in here, right? I mean, they get in there, put that in the middle of agricultural fields, and they improve the front of where they're at. But the rest of it is just going to be a natural decade leapfrog of how do we get kids safe to this school that we just built that created thousands of cars coming there every day.
Again, my opinion is that what we're doing solves this. I mean, it's literally going to solve this problem in 10 times faster than it would have been trying to do it before these utilities get there. So, thanks.
Mike, was that your only educational experience?
Maple Mountain, yes. I'm Spanish Fork graduate, so I have a lot more education.
Right. I just thought we'd clarify that. For the minutes.
All right. Any other discussion?
We're talking about the top one here, this plat, right?
That's Canyon Vista.
That's Maple.
Or Maple Mountain, I mean, excuse me. And this is, the first one on will be, yeah, that one right there, Maple Mountain.
Because I think, Richard, you do have some help on the bottom one there. There is a sidewalk that they're gonna get from there to the corner.
We have cross easement, those connections, we have to get out somewhere else anyways.
So you're gonna have an improved road.
Well, that will help.
That gets to the
Go through
four-way
both
corner.
subdivisions to get down to that bottom one.
Yeah.
If you get that,
Well, and here again, you're not, by the time you build this all out, hopefully these guys just come in line and this here comes in line and we can get, it'd be nice even if you had a temporary sidewalk there, if you could talk with the developer, the owners there and say, hey, let us just put a temporary sidewalk right there.
And our first phase is, or the first thing we're gonna bring in to get sewer, we gotta get the sewer as a help to the bottom piece, that Canyon Vista. Our first phase comes all the way down and if they start at the top like the plan is, then that solves all of this.
Time frame? Yeah, as far as phases though.
That one will be one big phase, and then my
It's
guess
an
is
entire-
with our experience, what we've been doing in Spanish Fork City already, is probably for a total build out of at least the Maple Mountain is probably 2 years.
Gotcha.
Okay. All right, I'd entertain a motion on the Maple Mountain Estate preliminary plat.
I make a motion we approve the Maple Mountain Estate zone change.
Oh, no, this is estate.
Hold on.
New business.
That's what I'm on. Approval of Maple Mountain Estate zone change from rural residential to R112 for a 37-acre site.
Done that.
And approval of Maple Mountain Estate's preliminary plat for a 98-lot subdivision.
You've got it all in there. Okay.
With conditions?
Yeah.
Make sure you put all those conditions on, or just tell, you don't have to read them all.
If you're comfortable with those, we'd sure like you to
There's, in there
with the 9
13.
conditions in the report. Oh, right there.
Based on the 2 findings, you could say that, or it's implied.
Based on the findings.
Okay.
Second.
A motion by Councilman Mendenhall, a second by Councilman Dart. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Let's move down to the Canyon Vista Estate preliminary plat. I'd entertain a motion on that.
Do we need to go in public hearing for that or anything? Or
Nope. No, we're done with public hearings.
Okay, I would move we approve the Canyon Vista Estates preliminary plat and the 2 findings and 11 conditions with that one.
Second.
Got a motion by Councilman Dart, second by Councilman Scobes. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Get her done. Okay. Next one. Devaney? Devaney?
Yep.
Annexation petition.
We're fairly excited about this proposal. This is actually a city-initiated annexation. We do have the consent from several involved property owners to be able to start the process on their behalf. These properties that are located essentially west of 300 West and south of 1000 North. PDM Steel's over in that area right here. The subject properties are right here. If I remember right, 100 and something acres altogether. In short, we're excited to potentially have these properties annexed because utilities largely are available, at least they're close by in the vicinity. So it'd be relatively easy for somebody to develop here if, for example, some type of a large employer wanted to come to Spanish Fork. This would be an area that we'd like to present to them as a prospect. But if we tell them when they come knock on our door that before they could develop here, they have to go through a 4 or 5 month annexation process, we're pretty sure that that would disqualify us right out of the gate. So we think it's really important to get through this process to annex the properties. The property owners understand, I believe, our motivation behind wanting them in the city. It's not to accommodate any existing development proposal or anything like that that we have, just to get the properties one step more ready for development. The action that we're asking you to take tonight simply is to accept this petition or application for further study. If you do that, then that kicks off a formal noticing process, which leads to a protest period whereby anybody with concerns can let us know, and eventually would lead, we hope, to this coming back to you for final consideration on the annexation after the Development Review Committee and Planning Commission have both made a recommendation. We've gone through the whole process, which potentially could happen as early as March, if things work out the right way. So that's what we're looking for.
Any questions, comments? If not, I'd entertain a motion.
I move that we authorize that, that we approve the Devaney annexation petition study.
Second. Okay.
Got a motion by Councilman Scobes, a second by Councilman Dart. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
I got one question. Where did you come up with the word Devaney?
You remember we did an annexation a few years ago, Osborne, Tom Osborne, probably the greatest college football coach ever. The
Oh,
second
jeez.
greatest ever was Bob Devaney.
Oh,
Later became maybe the
geez.
greatest athletic director.
You're a native of Nebraska, aren't you?
All right, now, we might want to, can we reopen this up?
Wow.
We might want to change the name of
Got
that.
hoodwinked.
Why did it take me so long to figure that out?
All right.
Junior would be the one that.
I thought it was going to be called Edwards Annexation.
You would think so.
Yeah, you would think so. Well, we won't let that happen yet.
Oh, Junior can't wait for the Majerus. Rick Majerus.
Any closed session?
The sweater.
Dave, is there a closed session?
We got a discussion? It says discussion, number 10.
That's just on there always.
All right. I would move we adjourn then.
Second.
Got a motion by Councilman Dart.
Yep.
Second by Councilman Gordon. All in favor, say aye.
Yeah, give
There you go, gentlemen.
have it on cue.
Sorry. You know what? I don't mind it. It's a new thing to do. It's different. The original concern I had is, you know, everybody's front yard, that the city does one standard there that we have that people have to maintain, but it's not what they really chose. What the change was is we ended up cutting out those, where we're going to divert into a swell, and we put boxes in. We're just putting it into the boxes and into the R channels themselves. So it gives them the flexibility to have the kind of yard they want, both with the park strip and the whole yard. I think that kind of solves some of my hesitation. Cost-wise, it's pretty six, as it seems like to me, what I've been able to tell. I think the cost in the future will probably go down as it becomes more popular, because there's only one place you can get those boxes, and somebody's going to figure out how to ship those from China a little bit cheaper, I'm sure, or wherever they're going to come from. I think they come from China already, but competition should help that. It seems good. We go out there, and we've been pretty pleased with, it seems like it does, like, I'm a resident of Elk Ridge, and it seems like you get a rainstorm and it hops over the boxes and it keeps building up more steam if it's a pretty good rainstorm. We went out with some pretty heavy rainstorms, and because there's more of these that go into it, it's dry. I mean, there's no water building up in the gutters to even get to that point where it's hopping those and creating a flooding problem down the road. So it's actually been I was surprised. I didn't think it would be able to carry that, and I didn't think it would be better. I thought it would be the same, but it actually seems, for diverting water off the hard surface, it seems to do a good job with
What
that.
did you say, Chris, about the 100-year storms? What was that?
They're designed to take a 100-year storm.
Do we have every 10 years?
Yeah.
Seems like we didn't get a lot of it.
Twice a year.
Yeah, twice a year we have that 100-year storm. Great, thank you. Yeah.
Thanks, Dean.
Anything else?
I feel like I need to just clarify a couple of things. Relative to the potential for a need maybe to use eminent domain. With the conditions that we have spelled out in the staff report for this project to be developed, they have a couple of different options by way of where to start. Julie, tell me if you view this differently, or Dean. They can either start on the north side, which means either they need to obtain right-of-way from this property owner, whether it's the property owner or some developer that they're working with, or the city might be asked to exercise eminent domain. If they start on the south end of the development, which up until recently is kind of what I thought was going to happen, then the same potential exists with the condition that we have that says they need to improve that little bit of offsite there. So just a couple of things to keep in mind. I think we're all on the same page, right? Okay.
Get the utilities.
It'd be wonderful to have that road connection made, and I can't say it.
And like Dean said, there's another developer looking to acquire that, and we're all working together. We just don't want to overstep him.
maybe just to talk about the power buyout. Dean touched on that. That's a very significant issue. That's one of the things that's really limited development east of 2550 East to date. In short, we'll be buying the existing facilities from Strawberry Electric. They'll receive compensation for lost revenue that they would have otherwise enjoyed. The homes here along 2550 East, those will be converted from Strawberry Electric to Spanish Fork City Power. I'm not sure, I think some others in the area will as well.
It's the whole area, even that area that's not being annexed.
So it's
Strawberry's just getting out and we're just taking over that whole area.
It's a big deal, and that's one thing that I appreciate about the effort that Dean's put into this and our power department, getting to a point to where we know exactly what Strawberry Electric is going to charge us. Dean has that number, and before we would proceed to approve any final plats, that all has to happen. We, the city, would do the power buyout. Dean would reimburse Spanish Fork, and everybody's happy at that point.
Okay. Any other discussion? If not, I'd entertain a motion.
See, we need to have a public hearing though. Oh, we did, okay.
You even voted yea on that?
Yeah, you're right. I'll make a motion that we change this Stillman zoning from RR to R112.
Second.
A motion by Councilman Davis, a second by Councilman Scobes to, yeah, it's an ordinance to change ordinance number Z08-14. And we'll do that by roll call. Councilman Mendenhall?
Aye.
Councilman Scobes?
Aye.
Councilman Gordon?
Aye.
Councilman Davis?
Aye.
Councilman Dart?
Aye.
That passes. Okay, transportation element for general plan.
You want to do the preliminary class?
I want to talk about this first.
Sewer and stuff with the preliminary plan.
Sewer and power are unique with this, so I think you need to talk to them.
Okay, before I get into the transportation master plan, Dave's asked that I just explain how these subdivisions will be sewered, as well as provided with power. First of all, we have a trunk line, a major trunk line up through here. It's called the Mapleton Trunk Line. Mapleton has a big development on the Ensign Bickford property, which we succeeded to them, which requires another trunk line to come in and connect. That trunk line is slated to come up through here, come along here, and then connect into that. So these developers, as well as the Ensign Bickford developers, will work together to get this trunk line in and connect to that Mapleton trunk line. And so there's a lot of players coming together to get that trunk line in. Likely whoever comes first may be on the hook to front all the costs, but then they'll be reimbursed accordingly, according to development. Now on the power, if you zoom out a little bit more, so when we went to SESD on the power, they came back to us and said, why don't you just buy out this whole entire area and let's just take care of it all at once. That makes a lot of sense in a lot of ways, and so we are recommending that we do that. That involves with some costs with the city that we did put in the budget, the last budget revision, but it also requires some costs to be fronted by the developer. So the city and the developer are working together to just get this whole area bought out now, so we don't have to mess with that in the future.
And in layman's, that's future money that they could have had saved for one particular home. That's how they come to their...
Correct. So when you buy out SESD, it means two things. First of all, you buy the value of their facilities that you will now own. So their power lines, transformers, poles, service drops. But then you also pay for 10 years lost revenue for each of the customers.
Now, Dean isn't... There are there now.
Right. Dean isn't...
Not future customers.
Right. Dean isn't buying out the whole thing. He's only buying out those that pertain to his section.
Right.
I'm
So
aware.
these over in this area, the city end up,
That upper area.
right, up in this area.
But the nice thing about this, you know, eventually we will be taking that whole area over. Now there's limited number of homes on that area. If we waited, you know, more subdivisions come in there, the cost would be a lot more.
Every new house that gets built, we'd have to buy that out.
Review the power line, this one.
So that was the first aspect of the power. The second aspect of the power is we had some difficulty trying to get easements through here, or the developer had some difficulty getting easements through here, and we were told that as a city that the property owners did not want underground power put in right now through here. And so with that, we worked out with the developer that they can upsize the wire on the power lines here to feed this as a temporary measure, but they would not be reimbursed for that cost when these lands develop. And then when these lands develop, they would then put the power underground as they would have otherwise. And so we have existing poles here. The wire that's on the poles can be upgraded so that it can serve this area, and we won't affect negatively any of the properties, and that was the concern that we had heard from those property owners. And so that's another aspect which we think will work pretty well, actually. So. Okay, on the, Dave's getting the,
I don't know how to run this thing.
But Seth leave you?
Seth bailed.
Yeah, he had to go into the other room.
Just a second, I'll go help.
Chris, you know.
So Dean, is that the same way that the SESD buyout is with you? Is the existing customers that are there, or do they go off lost revenue off your
No, so the whole
development?
area is their loss, the whole area, and they calculated what my portion of what all that means.
For a while.
Is what the power department has given me. There's a buyout portion, and then I also have a second portion, which is the upgrade.
As if that many lots?
This is the whole upgrade to take it up to our area.
Oh.
So you gotta put a 600 amp line up to feed that. I do have a meeting. I do have a meeting with the landowner again, just to try, the road, what happened is the road width kind of all got shifted there, and it impacts the other side of the road a little more. So with the old road width that was originally thought was gonna be there, correct me if I'm wrong, was a lot wider, and so those electrical boxes would be in the farm field that you don't wanna farm around them, and that was what the holdup was. I'm currently drawing out, I don't know if it'll help, it may not be enough, but it's gonna move over a little bit, and if it does, we'll go underground. And at this point in time, there wasn't a willingness to, but that road width thing that we didn't totally know about has changed that a little bit. Is that correct? I am meeting with him again.
That's a great lead into this transportation master plan.
Thank you.
We, one of the things in our last standards, our last transportation master plan, is they had the same cross-section for a 7-lane road as they did for a 5-lane road, and then they had another cross-section that could do both a 5-lane and a 3-lane road. And so you had pretty wide cross-sections if you only needed 3 lanes. And this was an instance where that was the case. the model showed that we needed a 3-lane collector road, but we only had a cross-section that had enough room for a 5-lane or a 3-lane. And so it was a very wide cross-section of asphalt here. And so with this master plan, what we are proposing is that we have what would be called a minor collector, which would be a 2-lane collector road, a major collector, which would be a 3-lane collector road, and then a minor arterial, which would be a 5-lane road, and then you'd have a major arterial, which would be a 7-lane road. And what that does is it makes it so that you are not building a lot bigger right-of-ways than you need. If you only need 3 lanes, why are we building a cross-section that could accommodate 5 lanes? And so with that, we went from enough asphalt to have 5 lanes down to enough asphalt to have 3 lanes here, and that did change some right-of-ways. It was a little bit unfair with the school district, didn't give as much right-of-way as the other side of the road. Now it's about equal. And so that, I think, was the concern of the property owners. They felt like they were giving up a lot more right-of-way than the other side of the road, but that all went away with a 3-lane versus a 5-lane right-of-way. So, correct, according to the model.
So would that move the electrical boxes further closer to the road?
Yes, to the existing road.
Did they go back and talk to the property owners after they knew that the boxes would not be that far on the field?
That's what Dean was just talking about, that he's meeting with them on. Dean actually hired his engineer to lay that out for him so that he could go back and talk to the property owner and say, this is where it would be in relation to your property, and see if they could work. Yeah, see if they could work on it underground.
If it doesn't impede, you can kind of act like you would, so we'll see past.
Yeah.
Still maybe on the
working on it.
We have some inside people working on the job there. So we're really excited about this revision to the transportation element of the general plan. One of the biggest parts of this revision is what's called the Spanish Fork Parkway. We were just talking about one section of that parkway right here. But this is a road that will go from this new commercial center and hospital area, and it will be a continuous road, a major collector road that will head all the way down through what is the Legacy Farms area. It will head down 2550 east. Instead of continuing to to Canyon Road on 2550 east, it will turn and it'll hit 2300 east, which goes all the way through, and will go down off of the hill through the river bottoms and connect on to the Powerhouse Road, 8800 South Road. Eventually, the Powerhouse Road is slated by MAG to be kind of an outside connection to the Salem, Payson area. So this would be a minor arterial, and basically it would split right here into a major collector and a minor arterial here. So that would be Spanish Fork Parkway. We will not rename any of these roads to Spanish Fork Parkway until this connection is made. But right here, it will be called Spanish Fork Parkway, and then as this gets built, it will be as well. So we're excited about that, especially the name.
Yes, we are.
Okay, so minor collectors. One of the things that we realized is now that we have a 2-lane collector road, there are a lot of facilities that before were the larger 3-lane collector road standard that could be downsized to the 2-lane collector roads. And so in blue, those are all the minor collectors that are now needed in the city. So that's a significant change. The next item is we officially laid out where the commuter rail station would be, as well as 2 park and ride lots, one here next to the commuter rail station, and then one up here in the adjacent to the Canyon Creek development. And then finally, you'll notice that
we took every UDOT road and we put the equivalent Spanish Fork City cross-section, what we would want on there. We're finding that on the UDOT roads, quite often UDOT has deferred to the city on our modeling and our master plan, what we would like, and it was very confusing on how we had just left those off and said they're UDOT roads. Each time we'd have to reinvent the rule and try to figure out, okay, what do we want there, and work with UDOT. So we just wrote on there what we want now, and it seems like UDOT's very willing to work with us on those cross sections. So that was another big change on this. Any questions about the? Oh, and this before used to go around. It just makes more sense to have that minor collector road go straight through. Any questions on this master plan map? Okay. Yeah, we'll have it all done.
Thank you.
Next year. If you scroll up a little bit, we have had some really good success with our layouts on the road systems with LID, and are proposing these cross sections in our model. There's again the 7-lane, the 5-lane, the 3-lane, and then on the next page you'll have the 2-lane, and then the local roads. We feel like it just makes a lot more sense to have one section per number of lanes. You have a lot less wasted, a lot less asphalt that you'll never use being constructed. One of the nice features about these roads is they all have an 8-foot trail on one side and a 5-foot sidewalk on another. As we looked at 2300 East and some of the collector arterial class roads in town, there was a lot of things that we did not like about them. One was the concrete jungle effect that you have, and we looked at some instances all around the country of ways that cities have made that look better, and one of the big problems with our roads is when we have the sidewalk right next to the wall, and so we push that out about 3 feet. It's 4 feet to the back of the wall, and then left a planter area where bushes and stuff can be planted in front of the wall to kind of break up that look. And then of course we have the 12-foot swales. Here the city maintains these roads, and so the swale idea works very well with the 12-foot planter, and then that's greenscape with some trees. So
we'll take care of that.
And the city typically takes care of that unless we have some sort of a business or an HOA that's done with, or like on a minor collector. If we can make it a corner lot, then sometimes that is taken care of by a property owner as well. So the major collector again is a 3-lane. If you scroll up, maybe I can just go through. So you have the major arterial, which has the 7 lanes, so 1, 2, 3, and then this becomes a left turn lane when you get to an intersection, and then you have 3 lanes on the other side. Very few of these. The only one really is Main Street, at the north end of Main Street.
This is Main Street.
Yeah. And that's in the future when we're really big. Okay, so then you have a minor arterial. There's still only a few of these, but it's 5 lanes, 2 on either side, and then the permissive left turn lane. Then you have the major collector, which has 3 lanes.
What are you planning across Maple Mountain High School?
This would be the major collector.
This one right
Mm-hmm. Now, one thing that we did write, we are proposing in the standards, which should come to you in January, is that we can have a planter like this in here depending on the situation. If there's a lot of connections on to the major collector, it may not, or if it's phased in, it might not make sense to put that in until you get the road completely built. It's really hard to build
half a road with a planter down the middle. And so those are some of the things that, but this does permit us to put a median in there if we would like. Okay, so the next cross-section going down to the next page is the minor collector street. This is like the 1400 Easts, where you're never going to need 3 lanes, but it is a collector road. And so you have the 2 lanes, and you have, the standard, you have a little bit wider shoulder actually than the cross sections up above. They have 6-foot shoulders, whereas we have an 8-foot shoulder here. So that's a minor collector road. And then we have a commercial local road, which has, it's kind of similar to this, except for it doesn't have the walls and the trails in behind that. And then going down.
This will be something like down in Cane Creek and areas or what?
Yeah. Yeah, although the ones in Canyon Creek, that first section is a major arterial, that first short section, and then it translates into a minor arterial, but coming off of it, you'll see some of those. So then we have the residential local street. This is 29 feet of asphalt. It has a wider gutter pan, so you have 33 feet from curb face to curb face. You have the 8-foot planters and the 5-foot sidewalks. The cross section is still the same 60 feet. And this is what we used to do our estimating and our modeling so that we could work on the impact fees. And then you have the residential sublocal street. This is typically only used on cutoff streets or like a townhome development type road where before they would do parking lot type roads, and we're getting away from those type of roads. Okay, so on to any questions about the street cross sections that we modeled off of? Okay, if we can go down to the trail. The other major change in the transportation master plan was the trails plan. You'll notice up above, every collector and arterial road had a trail along it. And so we took all of our collector and arterial roads and we added a trail to it. It really didn't change much from the past. We added, that little one here that Dave Anderson was talking about and a few around, but there really wasn't much change to the trails plan. But there is a change in that, according to our ordinance, we put on here the trail type access to both sides of the river that we need in order to do flood control. Likely only one side will be paved, but there will be some sort of a drivable surface on the other side, perhaps equestrian type access where we can also get trucks in there and maintain the river. So that's also shown on here that you'll see. And a lot of the changes that come in this area you'll see on there. So any questions about the trails plan? Okay.
Okay. If there are no other questions, I would entertain a motion.
I would move we, oh, we gotta have a public hearing. All right, I move we go into public.
That's what I thought you was going to say.
Second.
Got a motion by Councilman Dard, second by Councilman Scobes. Going to public hearing. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Anyone from the public? All three of you. Seeing none, I'd entertain a motion to go out of public hearing.
So moved. Second.
Motion by Councilman Scobes, second by Councilman Gordon. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Go ahead now.
I move we approve ordinance 21-14, an ordinance making amendments to the transportation element of the general plan.
Second.
Okay, we got a motion by Councilman Dart, a second by Councilman Mendenhall. This is an ordinance. We'll do a roll call vote. Councilman Scobes?
Aye.
Councilman Mendenhall?
Aye.
Councilman Gordon?
Aye.
Councilman Davis?
Aye.
Councilman Dart?
Aye.
That passes. All right.